All right, guys, here we are. Part two is finally here. So this one we dive in a little bit more personal questions about youth and youth group and being youth leaders and stuff like that. So this one, like I said, is my favorite. I hope you enjoy this. Please stay tuned to the end and let us know once again if you have any more questions or anything like that. We'll get to them. But without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this wonderful video. All right. So next one is, what are some ways to build a better community with the youth?
Being there. It's important that we're there, whatever they're doing, like whether it's sports or plays, drama, and whatever they're doing. It's important for us to be there because relationships can carry us a long way.
That's what I was gonna say was relationships, like just building a relationship with them and staying connected to them, even during this mess.
I'll tell you what the youth will say. Lock-ins! Lock-ins!
Wow, y'all, I feel like we owe them a lock-in after all this mess.
We don't owe them nothing after this.
I'll be automatic after the
Lord have mercy. They do deserve a lock-in. We have to definitely plan out the lock-in a little bit better. But
Well, this time I won't give birth.
That'd be phenomenal.
yeah, it'd be great. Not bitter about it.
We're not either.
Hell.
Worth it, I guess. He's my favorite.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of worth it. All right, so what about helping them grow spiritually? What's some ways we can do that?
I think youth-led Bible studies with leaders supervising. I don't mean that word supervising, but that was the only word I could come up with.
Chaperoning.
Yeah, like just there in the vicinity to answer questions that might come about. But youth leads the thing.
I like that. What's the other thing?
Again, by being there for them whenever they have questions and they want to know how to do things and setting an example for them.
I feel like if they should know that we're there for them, like, even if it's something they don't really want to tell us, like, they can tell us, we're not going to go and be like, oh my gosh, did you hear what so-and-so did? Like,
Confidentiality is definitely key.
so, like, don't be afraid to tell something because you're afraid of what we're going to say or what we're going to think, what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like a lot of them fear that what we will tell. The biggest one that I've heard is us telling parents. They're so scared that we're going to tell their parents. And I've heard that so many times. I'm like, there's a certain point where we have to tell parents stuff legally. But for the most part, I try to keep all that confidential unless I see that's going to actually physically cause harm to the thing or breaking any kind of laws or anything. There's a certain point, but most things I'm not going to be like, can you believe what your daughter's doing? You might want to lock those doors. That kind of thing, I don't. Because confidentiality, as y'all know, as not only my leaders, but my best friends, that confidentiality is like a very big thing for me. I don't like when people break confidentiality. Like what you say stays between us. And I want to have that same respect. And I would hope that we all put off that vibe to where they can tell us anything. And I feel like that's a good way to grow spiritually is whenever you're able to break down that wall and tell somebody. I feel like that's the first step. So then for me, growing spiritually, that's what helps me out a lot is when I finally break down and tell somebody and drop that wall a little bit, that opens up a conversation. So That's a very good point. And definitely keeping a relationship with them. Let's see. So, one of my all-time favorite questions. I'm so ready to hear these questions. And I want to need for everybody to answer this question. And we're going to break it up in 2 parts. So what is the toughest thing about being a youth leader?
What?
And
Being a youth leader. What is the toughest thing about being?
lock-ins.
Like
I mean- Oh, go ahead. For real, like serious answer. Watching them go through things and knowing like, ain't nothing I can do. You just got to go through that, like friend drama and all that mess and breakups and all that stuff. And I'm like, I hate it for you, but just something you got to go through. Everybody has to go through it. You got to go through it. You just got to get to the other side, and then you're good.
Yes.
just
I think I'm not talking to, like, we see it and we know that it's happening,
'Cause
but
we did it ourselves.
we don't want to come up and be like, hey. So, because, I mean, at that point, me as a teenager would have been like, nope, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just kind of like, we know that something's happening, but for whatever reason, you don't feel comfortable enough to ask us about it or talk to us or whatever. And so we're just kind of sitting there like, we know. We're praying for you, but I mean,
You can only do so much nonchalant prying. I guess you'd say. Because you're going to be like, hey. So there's a couple, depending on the relationship that we have. Because sometimes, like for us, we can go up to each other and be like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? You've been off for a little bit. What's going on? You want to talk about it? And there's a couple of youth that I'll do that to. But a lot of times you have to tiptoe and be like, hey, praying for you. That's definitely a hard thing.
I think the toughest, and it's also it's like my least favorite part and my favorite part about being a youth leader is watching them grow up.
Yes.
What a dad thing to say.
That's like a total Toy Story kind of situation you just said.
That is 100% true, though. I got to think about that the other day. I'm like, wow.
embrace.
I don't want to say lucky, but this year we don't have seniors. This is the first time I've ever not had seniors. But then next year coming up, there's a whole bunch of juniors. And that got me thinking, I'm like, wow, there's so many people about to come through here. But then I have to think about, okay, well, looking at Children's Church, you think there's some people that's coming up. So, but the fact of, and then even thinking back over the past couple of years, like at the ones that we've lost, because they done grown up and moved on. And I'm like, wow. That's definitely something that's the hard thing. Usually I try to grab them and hold on to them as tightly as possible. I feel like, no, you can stay here till you're 30, but there's no rule that says you have to leave. But a lot of times in those situations, I want to try to sort of flip them, but then start giving them more leadership type roles. So that way they can actually start pouring back in. So they're not necessarily feeling weird being not technically youth, but in a youth group type feeling. Those are some good answers. I'm trying to think what's the hardest thing. The hardest thing for me is wanting to help them so bad, but knowing that they're not talking about it. And not necessarily like they're refusing to talk about it. It's just I know that they're going through stuff because we're human and that we all go through stuff every day. But the fact of not knowing what they're individually going through and not being able to come out and be like, let me help you, is probably the hardest part, is knowing that they're going through something. Not saying that they're actually going through this horrible thing, but knowing that as humans, we're all going through something and not knowing what it is to be able to help them. And I don't know. My biggest fear is that they feel like they can't talk to us and they can't open up to us because of whatever reason. But so what's the best thing about being a youth leader? I bet y'all got quiet.
Being a part of their lives. Like, I always think sometimes, like, you know, other youth groups have their people. I don't know how to put this into words, but like the ones that we have are the ones I think we're supposed to be a part of their life. Like, looking at one in particular person, it's like, I'm glad I'm part of their life. I'm glad I'm part of their life. I don't know. In my head, it makes sense, but you know, I just can't get things to come out sometimes.
Feel that on every level. But I get what you're talking about.
I think I like that moment where it clicks. And they're like, you know, I realized that this is what I need to do, and you're like, been waiting on that. Glad you've joined the party. We all know. And then also, like, even though it's part of the worst thing, but it's also the best thing to watch them grow up and to watch those moments of clarity, of maturity.
Yeah, definitely. Every time I was talking about growing up, I keep thinking about the Bullats, definitely. I found a picture of them the other day that they took on my phone when I was going through deleting a bunch of pictures. They were babies! I was like, that was just the other day. And Ethan and all them that have been here since, like, children's church, I'm like, they're completely different people. I'm still trying to have a, say, the best thing about it. It's pretty much being able to be that person. I don't really know how to say what I'm trying to say. Be able to be that guide and helping them grow throughout not only their teenage years, because we've all been there. We all know how tough that is and crazy, but being the outlet and being there for them so that they can have somebody to talk to, have somebody to look up to, and know that even in all this craziness going out around in the world, that, like, we can live the good life and still be happy. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Because I don't get what I'm trying to say. Stop.
The best thing is being there for them and watching them grow up, and it's also good because, like, a lot of times when we need something and they don't even know it, they'll still come up to us like, hey, I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad we got to see you at church. And it's like, I know we see you every Wednesday and Sunday, but I'm glad to see you today. So it just kind of, they always say something so random at the most time that you need something from them, I guess.
That's very true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we learn from them what they learn from us.
I think we end up needing them more than they need us. They just don't realize it.
I honestly don't know where I would be if I wasn't here. And they impacted my life so much over these past couple of years. And I've definitely learned a lot. Which is weird to think about because you think that we're supposed to be the leaders. They're supposed to be learning from us. But in all actuality, I probably learn more from them than they'll probably ever learn from me. All right, so fun question. What thing does not exist that you think should be invented?
I have no idea.
A machine that gives you your haircut.
That would be beautiful. I live with my hairstylist, and I still ain't got my hair cut.
Rip.
I'm too late. Also, side note, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I have a gray streak right here. Random. I mean, I know I have gray everywhere, but there's a gray streak like right there. It is getting on my nerve.
You see that?
Fun for her.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm fine if it's all over my head, but it's just like one streak. It's just right there. I've always had to see her. I'm getting a Sheffield look going on. It's just this one little thing. The whole little strip.
Some like the dances that just like makes food and just swipe through on the screen and pick it. Because I've been having to help cook during the quarantine, and I'm just not having a good time. It takes too long, too much work, too many steps.
Yeah, I want like a smart house like the Disney movie, but
Well, watch
she
that
doesn't
the other
need to
day.
go bad. Like you say,
Oh my gosh, yes.
and then the dinner's there, but then she doesn't need to go rogue. And
I was about to say, that would be my look.
All the youth.
I mean, literally, Pat was like predicting the quarantine. Like she shut down the house. Like that's what we had to do. We come in and be like quarantine. You know, hello. That's the only way I would set the house completely.
Yeah, make you stay at the house.
That would make me stay at the house.
Shock you when you try to open the door.
The arm would go out to get the mail every day.
She like shocked people. So I mean,
Yeah. But she had her loving moments. And I guarantee you no one watching this but us knows what that is.
it's on Disney Plus though because I watched it the other week.
I need to watch it.
I went through all of the 90s and 2000s Disney movies and was like, ooh, I ain't seen that one. Ooh, I ain't seen that one. Ooh, that's a good one. And just added them to my list. I'm slowly making my way through. And I just watched that one, I feel like a couple weeks ago. I could be wrong. It could have been longer. That's a
Going
good
back and watching the old like classics.
When our power was out, my daddy decided that we needed a TV, so he used the generator to power the refrigerator, a TV, and a DVD player, so that we could watch TV. And we watched so many like old movies that we had found in storage. I made my cousin watch a New York Minute the other day, and then like Material Girls with like Hilary Duff, and I'm like,
yes.
I mean, I would so watch the Lizzie McGuire movie and all that stuff again. I would.
oh, and I watched Halloween Town.
I love the movies Halloween Town. They're so much fun.
I gotta watch Phil of the Future.
Yes.
This will be my show.
There's been like 2 seasons. I was really sad about that. Like I was really like,
What is that Disney Plus?
I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like there would be more. Like, I feel like I watched that for a good.
maybe more, but I remember the number was not as large as I thought it should be.
Right?
Excuse me when I get on Disney Plus.
The one thing that I would say needs to be invented that hasn't been invented yet is, well, one, the flying car, because I just think that'd be really cool. 2,
People can do that
Oops.
now.
that would take you anywhere. Did y'all ever watch Futurama? I know that's a horrible show, but I used to watch that when I was a kid because I thought it was cool until I realized it was a bad show, and I was like, no, I can't watch this. But they have tubes where they get everywhere. They literally just get in a tube. If you want to go to McDonald's, there's a tube that takes you to McDonald's. You don't have to drive. You don't have to do it. You just push a button, and there you go. I thought that'd be really cool to have.
I'm gonna have to research this, but I'm pretty sure there is a flying car, but there's no use for it. Like
People can't drive on the road. They can't drive in the sky where there's no streets to
Yeah, there's
guide them
no,
and
like-
lights and stop signs.
Yeah, and planes. Heaven forbid you wreck into a plane and you're driving a flying car.
But the road should be automatic. You fly up there and it just drives you. Like that would be a lot
So
of
wrong, like for us to be up in the air and go, oh my God, we're gonna die because my computer and my car shut down.
No,
Or Pat took over and trying to kill us.
you probably have to charge it. Joe wouldn't charge it. He'd run out of gas in the air, and then there we all.
They're notorious for running out of gas places. You know, like especially that one Sunday that he called me. We're in the middle of service.
No, we didn't get the service yet.
The last you tell. No, I came while Pastor Brown was preaching.
Dude, it was not that long.
Yeah. You left early, and I came in the middle of him preaching and brought you guys and came back and did altar. Well, that's how quickly it happened.
I remember that. I was thinking of a different time. There's one time that Daddy had to come get me for church. I thought I could make it. I couldn't. So, last question. No, not last question. Last serious question. What advice would you like to give the people that are watching today? Is there any advice?
Stay clean, wash your hands, and reach out to somebody if you need it.
Yes.
Wash your hands!
Wash your everything else too, but mostly wash your hands. Like that needs to be done more than once a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta go to the grocery store. When you go home, I wash my hands, and then I use my hand sanitizer. It's hospital grade, and it's 63% alcohol. It smells funny, but it get the job done.
I love it. Anybody else got any advice?
I'll think of some later.
Nothing that's not cliche.
I wasn't prepared for that question, I don't think.
That's all right. Probably gave the best advice ever. All right, funny question, and then we're done. What is the best / favorite TV show or movie that you've watched during quarantine?
Law and Order SVU.
Wait, what? Oh, what do we want?
Show. That's my show. I haven't watched it so long.
Oh, and the guy's coming back next season?
What? Stabler's coming. Elliot's coming back. And also Little Einsteins because I'm sick of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
I'm trying to be. One movie that I absolutely loved that I didn't think I would is that new Onward movie by Disney. Have y'all seen that one yet?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That one got me. I literally cried. Frozen 2 made me cry.
Frozen 2?
Every time I watch it, I cry.
Bye.
I haven't watched it.
But
Nicole
that
never.
quarantine, I watched that before quarantine. But here in quarantine, Onward has been my favorite. It really got me. I thought it was going to be a stupid movie, but
I still watch a lot of Home Improvement.
I haven't really watched a movie. I watch TV shows constantly.
You watched.
what's your favorite movie that you've watched?
I watched Outer Banks because everybody was talking about it on Facebook, and I needed to know what the big deal was.
My sister-in-law told me
I
she
watched
watched that because there was so much hype about it, and she's like, I don't get it. She's like, it's not that great. So I
Well-
watched.
Good Girls. I've been binge watching it. Bob's Burgers, of course. You know, that's my show. Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again.
It's better from the better never hear.
The heart is true.
Ooh,
Smile and a confidant.
ooh, oh. And if you do nobody it. No, 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 no. The big eyes. I jam it every time. Literally every time. It'll be midnight and everybody's asleep at my house. And I'll be there. Yes, I watched a lot of Golden Girls. I watched a lot of random movies on Netflix. Like usually when I get on Netflix now, my go-to thing is the top 10. I know how they have that now. I know what I'm talking about. I go there and I'm like, oh, does this look good? Does this look good? Yes, it does. And I've learned, I always I never think about it. But usually the movies that I'm like, I'm going to hate this, turn out to be the best movies.
Drake and Josh is on Hulu. Not every episode, but it's on there. So I've watched a lot of it.
And he's been watching a lot of Malcolm in the
Malcolm in the Middle.
Hey guys, and that's it for today's video. I hope that you learned a lot from this. This one, like I said, was my favorite. It gives a little point of view into how we're feeling. And can't wait to have more discussions like this because that's what helps us grow and helps us learn from each other. My opinion is different than your opinion and all that kind of stuff. So I love you guys so much. If you have any more questions, like I said before, please let us know and we will be glad to answer them. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane during all this. We love you. We can't wait to meet with you guys again and give you the biggest hugs and all the stuff. We love you so much. All right, bye.